Welcome to InFocus, a closer look at human relations. I'm your host, Bill Bell, and today we are honored to have Cincinnati City Manager Harry Black with us. This program is sponsored by, or supported by the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission. Mr. Black, welcome to the show. And first, I'd like to just ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I've been on the job now for about 101 days.
Okay.
Glad to be here in Cincinnati. This is a great city, a lot of great people. City is on the move. There's a lot of energy out there, and looking forward to helping to move that along. I'm a native of Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Finished high school, went to college in Virginia, both undergrad and graduate school. Left there and started my career, which started in New York City under Mayor David Dinkins. And then I moved on to other opportunities in the public sector, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, and then back to Baltimore,
Okay.
which is my most recent post as Chief Financial Officer for the City of Baltimore. And then this opportunity presented itself to me, and now I'm in Cincinnati. Married, I have two children. My son is a sophomore in college.
Okay.
My daughter is in the 7th grade, straight A student, fantastic point guard
Okay.
in basketball, and
Okay.
a budding good lacrosse player.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my
yes.
daughter plays lacrosse also. We'll
Okay.
talk about that later.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
You can give me some tips.
All right, but it's, okay, so you said you were from Baltimore originally?
yes.
All right, so here's the question.
I know
Before
the
we
question.
get started,
I know the
what's the question?
Go ahead. It's going to start with the W.
What's the W?
The Wire.
No!
That's not the question?
No!
That
no,
seems
that's
to
not
be
the
the question.
No,
That's
no, mine
always
is
the
mine is
question.
a little
Okay.
different than that. You got Baltimore, you got Cincinnati, you got the Ravens, you got the Bengals. Now I know where you work and where you live, but do you secretly have a jersey
I don't have a jersey as of yet.
as of yet?
Right.
For
The Bengals.
the Bengals.
However, we have multiple teams that we like.
Okay. We who?
and in general, typically.
Oh,
you know,
people.
You know,
Just us,
yeah,
citizens.
yeah,
Okay.
In general, yeah.
Okay.
So I will like the Bengals and I will like the Ravens. I'll manage that very carefully.
Okay, so when the Ravens come to town, you'll treat them like family.
We're all family.
Okay,
We're
I
all
respect
family.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. So I guess the one of the things we want to ask you is, what does a city manager do?
The city manager, in essence, I'm just going to provide an analogy. Let's say you've got a Fortune 500 company.
Okay.
You've got a board of directors for that company. In this case, that's our city council.
Okay.
I have 9 board of directors members. Then you have a chairman of the board. That's the mayor.
Okay.
And then you have a president and a CEO of the company. That's the city manager. I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of city government. When something's not right or when something is going good, the buck stops with the city manager, basically, because the city manager has the day-to-day authority for the operations of the city, and that's very helpful in terms of getting the job done.
Okay. Why would a person select a job like this? I mean, what is, I understand that you've always been involved in city government.
Yeah.
This is something you studied, but what was your attraction to this type of work?
It's public service. You can either do public service via an elected position or, in my case, an appointed position. It's the satisfaction that you get out of really helping to make a difference in people's lives and impacting the quality of that life. Local government, public administration is where the rubber hits the road. There are no buffers. You have to deal with issues head on, and it's a critical opportunity to be able to have a major impact, and that's what I'm passionate about.
You said deal with issues. One of the things that is talked about in Cincinnati is safety. There are some people, I happen to believe that Cincinnati is a safe city, but there are some people that believe that it could be a little safer. Is that a concern that people bring to you, or is that an issue that, when you talk about issues?
No. First of all, Cincinnati is a safe city. Can we make it even safer? Yes, and we strive to do that every day. This is probably one of the most solid police departments in the country.
Okay.
And I've had an opportunity to meet with a lot of the leadership in the department. I'm very impressed with what I've seen, in terms of what I've heard. I'm comforted to know that we have a highly competent and capable police department. But safety, or the perception of safety, is all relative.
Okay.
You know, a good year for Cincinnati in terms of, you know, let's say crime that leads to murders, might be somewhere in the mid-60s.
Okay.
You know, but you go to Baltimore, that homicide number is like 270. So it's all relative. But if people believe or feel as though that they're not safe, then they're not safe. So the key for us is to do everything that we can in terms of crime prevention, you know, as well as dealing with actual crime. As I said, I think that Cincinnati does it well, which is why the city is often the focus of a lot of interest throughout the country. People want to know, how does Cincinnati do its policing? It's a best practices example across the country.
Okay. Now, policing in general is about partnerships.
Right.
And those partnerships, is that something that I guess would be businesses, neighborhood development, things of that nature? So we have a safety issue, but we also have a residence issue.
Yeah.
How does your office help residents to be comfortable in the city?
Yeah, I think, again, I believe that Cincinnati's success to date has to do with its ultimate embracing of that police community relationship.
Okay.
You know, obviously it came out of something bad, which were the riots, but something great came about as a result of that. Cincinnati has a very robust network of community involvement.
Okay.
With respect to how we do law enforcement in the city.
Okay.
There are multiple organizations that I'm a part of directly we're constantly looking at and examining and assessing how well are we doing.
Okay.
How well is our police department doing? How well is city government doing in terms of that partnership? It's not just the police department, it's the community, and it's also other facets of city government that are not necessarily the police department.
Yeah.
Everybody's working together in collaboration. And I think that that's how you develop a safe place to live.
I want to take that, but I also want to talk about downtown. So, safe place to live. Downtown is our gem. How do we use the development downtown, and how would we tie our downtown development to our neighborhoods?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Yeah. Well, in fact, Cincinnati has numerous gems.
Okay.
Clearly, you know, the Ohio River is a major gem for this city, and the banks and what's going on there. There's tremendous activity that's growing within the urban core, just off of the banks. That's going to continue. What I tell people is that we need to do it. We need to take a couple of different approaches at this thing. We want to grow as best we can the urban core.
Okay.
Okay, that's the central business district, that's the banks, and then ultimately, and what's also happening over the Rhine at this point.
Okay.
Once we hit a certain critical mass point with the urban core, then there will be a domino effect in terms of the outer cores over time. You know, so the inner core is the nucleus. We make that solid and strong, and then ultimately it's just like taking a pebble and throwing it into a body of water, and then you see it cascade out. On the flip side, while we're waiting for that to happen, then there are things that I believe that we need to focus on creatively in the neighborhoods.
Okay.
You know, be it how do we come up with some additional investment in community development, housing, and when I say community development, what I'm getting at is community capacity building.
Okay.
As well as non-housing related investment within our neighborhoods, retail, commercial, etc. So strengthening the core with the understanding that it will cascade out ultimately, but still doing strategic investments in our neighborhoods that sort of pull it all together over time.
You mentioned housing and doing things that are not related to housing, but what is our housing stock in Cincinnati? Is this a city where people strive to relocate? I mean, you chose to come here. Do you have conversations with people that are looking to come here? If a business wants to relocate here, do they contact your office
Yes.
to do that?
Yeah. There's tremendous interest in Cincinnati right
Okay.
now. Obviously, GE is moving in. We've got other companies that are looking to move in. Just had discussions with a Fortune 500 company last week that's looking to perhaps relocate about 600 or 700 people to Cincinnati.
Okay.
But Cincinnati is bankable. There's no question about that.
Okay.
And people want to live in Cincinnati. People want to work in Cincinnati. People want to bring their businesses to Cincinnati. That is only going to continue and get even stronger. I think that once the next census is taken or before then, my sense is that population is already on the upswing in Cincinnati. I think I believe that will continue. So clearly, Cincinnati is a viable destination in terms of living, operating a business, and having fun. We've got a booming food scene here. The arts speaks for themselves here, and other entertainment venues. So it's all here, and it's all manageable. You don't have to. You can walk pretty much to anywhere you want to go to.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things that we were talking about before you got here, before you started here, was the streetcar project.
Yeah.
And that was, you had two sides of that conversation. Is transportation something that we are looking to expand in our city? I know you just talked about, you can walk from place to place, but 52 neighborhoods, is this something that we're looking at maybe expounding on?
Yeah. I believe that public transportation is very critical and it's very vital for a thriving and growing urban community. We just need to do what makes sense. My first question on any project, be it a transportation project or something else, is does it make good economic sense?
Okay.
That's question number one. In terms of the streetcar, obviously those decisions were made before I came. It's being built. My focus right now is to make certain that we get to the finish line on that project within budget and on time. I think ultimately it will become a very important amenity for people who live and matriculate through the city. But the key is, for me, public transportation is most critical when it gets people to jobs.
Okay.
That's the number one thing for me, getting people to economic opportunity, which is jobs. So I'm a proponent, but once again, whatever we spend money on, we have to ask ourselves a series of questions, and they all are related to, does this make good economic sense? Are we going to get the value for money?
Yeah.
What are we going to get back in return for this investment?
Okay. We have to take a break.
Okay.
You're watching InFocus, a closer look at human relations in the city of Cincinnati. We're here with Mr. Harry Black, and we'll see you in just a moment. Welcome back to InFocus, a closer look at human relations. I'm your host, Bill Bell, and we are fortunate to have the Cincinnati City Manager with us, Mr. Harry Black. Mr. Black, thank you for being here, and I'd like to move on to another thing. I believe you created a new office. It's an Office of Performance and Data Analytics.
That's correct.
Okay, and this is a new concept, I guess, in the city of Cincinnati, and in this field, can you tell our viewers what it's about?
Yeah, this is new for Cincinnati. There is a movement taking place in local government throughout the country. It's called performance management. The idea is, in a world of shrinking resources, we have to learn to do more with less. And we have to make more strategic decisions in terms of how we're going to invest that money. The idea is, no longer is level of effort good enough. I put in 60 hours a week, so what? The question at the end of the day is, what did you get accomplished? What were the results? So it's not so much about the time; it's about the results that come from the time that you spend doing your work. This office, we've established a chief performance officer for the city of Cincinnati.
Okay.
This office will basically help move Cincinnati to become a part of that performance management movement that I referred to earlier. In essence, we're going to look at everything that we do, everything that we spend money on. What are we getting in return for it? It's about outcomes, results. It's about measuring our performance. How long does it take us to do certain things? Can we do things faster, more effectively, and less costly? So it's not necessarily always about saving money, but it's about how do we serve the public better?
Okay.
How do we enhance customer service, not only in terms of the face-to-face encounters with our public, but also in helping them to engage city services in a way that they're surprised and delighted every time out.
Surprised and delighted.
That's the key.
So, using your words, surprised and delighted. What is that?
The key is exceeding expectations.
Okay.
That's what we want to get to. We want to get to that point where we're exceeding our customers' expectations
Okay.
in terms of service with a smile, helping them to do the things that they need to do when they come to the city. It doesn't mean that it's going to always be a successful encounter, but it should always be a very pleasant and memorable encounter.
Okay.
So the idea is helping us to become better at what we do
Okay.
and how we serve the public.
So would it be safe or fair to say we're just going to work to be more efficient, or is that not the right term for this?
That's a big part of it.
Okay.
Working more efficiently is a major component of it, but also making certain that we get it right at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay.
We're not just saving money, but we're becoming even more effective in terms of the work that we do, and improving our overall customer service.
In customer service, are there barriers that we as a city have to the people that we serve?
I think that there are some barriers, but they can be overcome.
Okay.
Generally, it's about training our workforce. It's about motivating our workforce. It's about setting standards for our workforce and providing that workforce with the tools and the technology
Okay.
to help them to do the work.
Okay. Okay.
And just having expectations.
You mentioned workforce. How big is our workforce?
We've got about 6,000 employees.
6,000 employees. So
Yes.
for the people that may be watching this show, are we hiring people?
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
Okay.
We are.
All
We're
right.
always hiring people.
So for
Always
people that are
looking for
watching,
good people.
Always looking for good people.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Because typically that's one of the things that they talk about is employment opportunities.
We're looking for people who want to serve
Okay.
and don't mind serving.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm in a service job myself, so I really believe in that.
Yeah.
So now we have a lot of cultures here, and this show is about. This show is sponsored by the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission. So, how does your office address the various cultures of Cincinnati, or what ideals do you have? Are things in place to do that?
Well, one of the direct ways is the work that we do through the Human Relations Commission itself.
Okay.
My role as city manager, that's one of the offices that reports directly to the city manager.
Okay.
Which basically reflects the priority nature of the work that they do.
Okay.
And I'm in regular communications with the leadership of that office, and my role is to be as supportive as possible and to try to help to establish an environment and an atmosphere that is conducive to supporting anything that celebrates and nurtures diversity.
Okay.
Diversity of thought, diversity of races, culture, etc. All of those things, if working in the right way, helps to make us a stronger city. It makes us a better city.
Okay. I know that we typically have a lot of festivals here, and we've had discussions on, Taste of Cincinnati. Taste of Cincinnati is one of those things that brings us together. Sporting events also bring us together too.
Yeah. We like food.
We do like food.
We like food.
We do like food. And you mentioned before the break that we have a lot of food options here. So here's the question. Do you have a favorite food of Cincinnati? You've been here 101 days. Do you have a particular taste that you can't get anyplace else that you can get here?
think I've had the best fried chicken that I've ever had here in Cincinnati.
Really?
Yes.
From where?
The Eagle.
Really?
Yes. Have you had it?
I have not.
You've got to try it.
Okay.
This is a recipe that's out of this world. Whatever the recipe is,
Okay.
you can't get enough of it.
Can't get enough of it.
Really, really.
All right, so we don't have any sponsors for this program, those type of sponsors, but where's
Maybe
the
they
Eagle
will.
Yeah, where's the Eagle located?
It's in Over the Rhine.
It's in Over the Rhine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But there are a plethora of really fine restaurants here in Cincinnati, and I have visited quite a few of them since I've been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And-
So you like the Eagle, but that doesn't mean that everybody else.
Oh no, you've got a booming food scene here in Cincinnati,
Okay.
and it's growing.
Okay.
So it's not even at its end point yet. So it's exciting.
Okay. Okay. So okay. All right. I will have to try the Eagle in Over the Rhine.
Trust me, you'll go back.
I'll go back.
You'll be going back.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll talk off camera about if I don't like it. Who's going to pay for that?
Trust me, you will like it.
I will like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah.
You know, I see the sincerity in your eyes. I believe you. One of the questions that I have is about the Baltimore Human Relations Commission and your work with them. And this was something that was shared with me. So can you share what you did in Baltimore and what you would like to do here in Cincinnati?
In Baltimore, I was the chief financial officer for the city, so my role was a lot different.
Okay.
Obviously, I interacted with all city departments, but it was all money related.
Money related. Okay.
Baltimore is doing things related to this, but I think once again, going back to the riots,
Okay.
was a bad thing, but so many good things have emanated from that one
Okay.
bad event. And the Human Relations Commission and the work that it does, and the related work that other organizations are doing collectively, I think separates Cincinnati. I think it puts Cincinnati in the forefront of that type of activity. You know, in terms of just diversity, human relations, community capacity building, learning and appreciating differences
Okay.
throughout the entire city. I think Cincinnati is, as a result of its past, has become a best practices example
Okay.
in this area.
Do you believe that that's why businesses want to relocate here is because of our past, or because they see a bright future for us? I mean, what is the selling point?
I think people see Cincinnati as a very livable city.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line. They believe that they can have a good quality of life here, that there's economic opportunity here. You've got great amenities here. We've got a phenomenal park system. Willie Carden does a phenomenal job in terms of leading that department.
Okay.
We've got a very, very effective recreational program here in the city. We've got arts, entertainment, food, and organized events that are of citywide nature, like the Oktoberfest event.
Yeah.
I went to that, I believe it was my first week here on the job, and I was very amazed at just the organization of the festival, the number of people that were there. I'm not necessarily a festival person, but I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Okay. Well,
So the city has a lot to offer.
I appreciate that. Well, as always, we just run out of time. On behalf of the Cincinnati Human Relations Commission, we appreciate you coming to us today and hanging out with us, and we hope to see you again. I'm going to try the Eagle, and if it's as good as you say it is, I'm going to ask them to name a plate after you. I'm just saying. Okay.
Do that.
Okay.
Do that.
All right. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me, and look forward to coming back again.
Okay, appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. So you've been watching InFocus, a closer look at human relations. I'm your host, Will Bell, and we'll see you next time.